what is stroke actually? Like maybe let's break it down to our level. What is happening there?
Simple terms. Stroke is when one side of the brain dies, right? Because of a clot that is on that side. So if the right side of the brain has that clot and it dies, then the left side is going to be affected. That's when you see the left side not working. So then you get paralysis of the one side, which means that the leg is not going to be, you won't carry, you won't be able to walk, the arm also won't. So they actually resume the flexion position, which is this position. And that is simple terms, that's what stroke is. So what causes stroke is, your high blood pressure. So I always say to patients that get diagnosed with hypertension, which is your high blood pressure, if they give you medication, please take it. And for it to be easier, if you take your medication at 8 o'clock in the morning, let it be 8 o'clock every day. Simple reason being that if you don't take it at 8, say for example, you take it at 8 today, and tomorrow you take it at 12. And then at about 10 o'clock, something happens. You hear bad news or something upsets you and your blood pressure goes high. You don't have medication in your system between that 8 and 12 because yesterday was at 10, and at 8 and then at 12. So then you can actually get high blood pressure and that can cause stroke. So try and keep it at the same time every single day. So that's your high blood pressure. Also stress causes,
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Palabra Podcast Corner. My name is Nico Mavaso. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support. We see your comments. We see you guys engaging with us. We really appreciate you. We are carrying on with our episodes like we promised that we are back with full force. Please do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. It's very important. It's very important that you do that. We want to welcome you in our family. We are sitting with someone with a lot of knowledge that is going to share with us what they know, where they've been, and so we can know what they do and why we need to come and see them time and again. They'll advise us. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me wherever you are. Welcome, Chiriro Rambuda. I needed to make sure, I've been doing tongue twists to make sure that I get it right. Rosungula. Did I win?
Say it again.
This time I'll make mistakes.
I want to hear.
Rambuda.
There you go. Well done.
Welcome to Palabra Podcast Corner.
Thank you so much.
Wow. We've been looking forward to sitting with you so we can talk.
Let the conversation begin.
Finally, ne?
Finally.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for agreeing to sit with us and talk about what you do, and so our people can learn and engage. They normally engage in the comment section. After we've uploaded this episode,
okay,
I'm going to ask you time and again, check in the comment section. There'll be questions so that you can answer them.
So I must stalk you.
No, you're stalking yourself. Remember, it's your episode. It's your episode. So you're doing it for yourself. So just in case if someone wants to see you, you never know. There are a lot of things happening in the comment section.
True.
Yeah.
Ndovuwa utani.
And Takara.
I'm impressed, eh?
Of course.
I'm impressed. When did you learn that?
No, at the moment I found out I'm going to be sitting with a vendor speaking someone.
Oh.
And India, ni chance ngamanda.
We can see.
And the one at the back,
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, Nico.
Right. Chirilo, you are a physiotherapist. Look, what do you do? I don't know a lot of black physiotherapists, especially the old ones. Maybe the newer generation now, because it's becoming common. But back in the days, it was difficult to find one. It was even difficult to hear one of us saying, I'm going to see a physiotherapist at the hospital.
Yeah.
It was not common.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little about maybe where you're from,
Okay.
and then we'll get to that. But I'm interested in knowing so much about what you do. Let's talk
Okay.
about your where are you from? Where are you born?
So my name is Chiriro. I'm correcting that Riro.
Okay.
But
Nibuli Shangani. Ishirilo.
nazama vulavula.
Eh, ne?
Nazama mara swa tika.
Mtazama swi kota.
Na swi kota.
Swi ta za swi endla.
Okay. So I was born in Thohoyandou. I come from Venda. So there's actually a very interesting story in terms of me being born, right? Can I share that?
Of course.
Okay. So I'm a last born of 4 children. So they always say, okay, we'll get to the last born part, because they always say that last born kids are spoiled. They're always with mama. They get whatever they want. Well, so when I was born, obviously, I mean, being the 4th child, mom was already used to having kids. So when I was, I think, 2 weeks old, my mom went back to work.
2 weeks.
2 weeks old. So I had to fend for myself. So I had to be strong. So I could only see her after work. So my parents were very hardworking. So the interesting story there is when I was on about, I think, 2 or 3, I started going to work with mom, right? So my mom worked close to a clinic. So at that clinic, there was a nurse that took interest in me. So then every morning, I would actually run away from my mom and go to this nurse. So from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5, I was actually at the clinic. So every day I would tell my mom, please pack up my lunchbox because I'm going to work, just like you are going to work. So when I was 3, I did that probably the whole year. But then my parents got concerned that, this child, we don't see this child from 8 to 5. What is this child doing? So my mom decided, no, I think she wants something to engage her mind. Let us take her to school. So funny enough, my parents took me to school at the age of 4. I was doing grade 1. At the age of 4 years old.
That's way too early.
I know. So my mom took me to school. She was taking my brother to school, and then she dropped me off. So I didn't know I was being dropped off. Remember, my routine is I wake up, I get my lunchbox. And by the way, my lunchbox is biscuits and chips. There's no food there. So then they dropped my brother off, and then I'm like, okay, so let's go. I'm excited to go to my workplace. Then they say, no, you are staying here. You're sitting here. I'm like, I'm not sitting there. So then my mom leaves me there and I jump. You remember those old desks that we had? I jumped over that desk trying to run after her. And then the principal grabbed me and like, no, you're going back to class. And I cried the whole day. Literally that whole day I cried. But then the second day, I found my cousin there and that was me. I was starting school. And that's how I started school.
But how did you survive? Back in the days, they used to make you touch your ear like this.
I was tall.
To make sure that you qualified to start grade 1.
I was just tall.
In
So it was easy.
It was not even grade 1 then, it was sub A.
It was sub A. Yes, it was sub A. Yeah, funny enough,
I was just putting
managed.
you into a corner just so that you can expose your age.
When you talked about the sub.
Yeah, because if you've done sub A, that means you're old.
But we don't need to get to numbers. There's still some people that can't calculate, so it's fine.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exposed.
It's allowed. Okay, great. Where about in Thohoyandou again?
So I was born in Makwarera, and then my parents moved. I think I was about 8 to Thohoyandou Unit D, and that's where I did my primary school. Well, my primary school I did in Thohoyandou, which was Chirubi Primary School. And then from there, I went to Mbiri Secondary School.
The Mbiri.
The Mbiri. And it was in thing to be at Mbiri. I mean, like, you had to be at Mbiri. There was no other school. 100%, in terms of results. And it was actually very challenging when you passed grade 11, which was standard 9. Yes. So when you went to standard 10, at Mbiri Secondary School, you didn't want to be that one child that failed. So you had to make sure that you get that exemption, So, I went to Mbiri Secondary School, and obviously because I started early, I found myself in Cape Town when I was 15. Another interesting story there is my dad said, no, this one is too young to be in Cape Town. So they asked me to actually study closer. I said, no, I'm not going. So Wits had actually accepted me, and I said, no, I'm not going to Joburg. It's too close. So I wanted to be far from Venda for some odd reason
So you went to varsity at 15?
at 15 years.
Oh my goodness. I can imagine a young girl in varsity 15 years. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 15. So then my dad decided to accompany there. So obviously Cape Town is far. My dad didn't want to drive. So first time on a flight, I was very excited. I loved that part. So then finally we landed. There was Cape Town. I'd been seeing it on television. Very excited being in Cape Town. So my dad checks in at a hotel, right? And then I'm like, oh, wow, this is nice. We can go see what UCT is offering during the day, and then I'm coming back to the hotel. Then my dad says, no, let's go see where you'll be staying. So we get to this res, and at that res, there is a bed, a desk, and a wardrobe. That's it.
That's a
actually,
res.
there were two beds because in first year, you actually share. And I looked at that. I looked at my dad. I wanted to cry because remember I was 15 and I was used. So remember I'm the last born at home and my sister is the firstborn. So there's like a 10-year gap between us. So my sister had left for varsity a long time before me. So I was used to having my own room and comfort and all of that. So now here I am walking into this room. It's flat. There's nothing in there. It's just like, bland. And I looked at my dad thinking of the hotel room that I just seen. I wanted to go there. He looked at me and he said, no, you're not going.
Home.
This is your new home. Get comfortable. I'll see you in the morning. I almost cried. Like I couldn't believe it. Then when he could see that I'm actually sad, he looked at me and he said, you know what? This is going to help you map your journey. Meaning that if I get you used to the comfort that you used to at home, then you're not going to study and you won't be motivated. So then that helped me in a way because then I had to realize that, okay, I had a life with my parents. This is the life they gave me, but now I'm starting a journey to have my own life. And that was very encouraging and motivating. So I did stay in that room, Nico. It was not great, but I stayed.
With a stranger.
With a stranger, Nochal. Yeah.
It was necessary.
It was necessary for growth, yes, it was.
Let's talk about your career. I mean, a young girl, 15, from Tando. How do you now find yourself studying to be a physiotherapist? Was it love at first sight, for lack of a better word? Or how did you get to that?
Okay, so very interesting story there. I think a lot of allied professionals, they all wanted to be doctors, GPs to be quite exact. So I was one of those students as well. I applied. I did actually study medicine. There was just a family emergency. Then I moved from Cape Town back home. For 2 years, I was at home and I helped out with the family business there. And then while I was doing that, I realized, no, this is not me. Let me try and find something to study again, right? While I was at home for that 2 years. So I then applied to Wits, which was originally the varsity that accepted me and I was meant to be there. When I applied to Wits, they said, no, you can't go back to health sciences as yet, just do a normal BSc. So I did a normal BSc first year. And then while I was doing that, I went back. I kept knocking. So one thing about me is when I want something, I go for it. So I went to the Faculty of Health Sciences. I said, guys, I don't know what I'm going to do with a BSc degree. I'm actually a health person. So they accepted me. So the following year, I did first year physiotherapy. In my first year, I realized that, you know what, like there's such a big difference between my classes with MBCHB and my classes with physio, because then, doctors, they always spend about 15 to 20 minutes with a client. They only find out, you get there, you say, I've got a headache, then they treat the headache and that's it. With physio, when you come to a physiotherapist, they start from how old are you? What do you do? Where do you work? How many children do you have? So it's almost like a holistic approach. And that was more me than actually just treating a condition. I'm more of a person that likes to treat a person holistically, find out where you are. How can I make a difference in your life in terms of, not just the pain that you're feeling on your knee, but how can we best change or assist you in terms of the pain that you're feeling when you're at home, when you're at work, when you're playing sports, all of that. So physio allowed me that opportunity, So I fell in love with physio in my first year studying it. It's not something that I dreamt of doing, but obviously I did dream of being somewhere in health. Because remember, my work when I was 3 years old, I was going to a clinic
Okay.
every
No,
single day.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So I've always wanted to be in the health sphere.
Wow. And you look happy.
I
You
am.
even shine bright
When I talk about it, I shine when I talk about a lot of areas, but physio is my passion, yes.
Is it? And you know what I think? When you found something that you love, it's not difficult to do it. Especially when it comes to things that when you're assisting people, because in your area, you deal with patients. You know, we've got a lot of complaints about the health, the department where people are complaining about the treatment they get. Not, I'm just saying, maybe it's not always true, but when it's true, it's because I think it's also because someone the health practitioner on the other side does not love what they do.
And it's sad, Nico, like with me, my friends always shout at me because once I start work, if my work starts at 8, I'm going to work until I finish. I forget to even eat.
Really?
And it's very bad. Like I know I work within an MDT, a multidisciplinary team. So we've got dietitians, we've got, OTs and the rest. So the dietitians are never happy with me because I start work at 8 and I don't eat up until 5 or 6, my last patient. And that is not good, I know. But I get so immersed in helping people and hearing the different stories and seeing how can I make a difference. So like, you're right when you say that when you do what you love, you actually, you enjoy it. It doesn't feel like work. I don't feel like I'm working when I'm working.
I like that. Wow, you're very interesting. I love talking to someone who loves doing what they do because it's very encouraging. One of the purpose of this podcast channel is to try and motivate young people. Some of them, they don't know what they want to study. Some do, but also to just say it's also possible for a young person who's born in Toendo to make it in whatever it is that they do. I've met a lot of people who thinks we interview celebrities, and no, we don't. We just identify people that are making a difference in our society and appreciate them. That's one of the reasons you are here. Now, let's get straight to your career. Who needs to see a physiotherapist?
Everyone. You do as well.
Me?
Yes.
Or I might be having a problem and not aware.
You have a problem right now, the way you're sitting.
Oh, is it? No, we should talk about it off air because. Okay, maybe elaborate further.
Okay,
why should we should.
So formally, I'll get back to the sitting part, but formally, physios generally see everyone. It's a wide range. Let me start from kids. So when you have a child and your child is not crawling on time, physios need to come in there. When you have a child and a child is not walking on time, physios assist with that. If you have a child that is not, what you call, so I'm trying to not use the big words, but your cerebral palsy children, those are people that need to be seen by physio to just assist with mobility, assist with movement, in terms of adults, what we do is we see people that are struggling. Okay, so I'm going to go with the normal, stuff that we usually see in hospitals. This is somebody who's had a car crash. They can't walk, so we need to assist them walking again. Somebody who's got joint pain, we assist with that. Someone with back pain, we assist with that. But very interestingly, what we also do is we assist people who are struggling to breathe. So that is your chest physio. So for example, during COVID, people thought that the only people that they needed to see was GPs, right? But we actually work in ICUs as well. We assist people with breathing exercises. If one of your lungs has collapsed, we assist with getting them to be right in terms of, getting air in. Sometimes people breathe epically or up on top, and then you're not getting enough breath down there, so we help as well. What else do? We do quite a lot. Sports as well. We assist with sports injuries. In my current practice now, that aspect is actually growing quite a lot because, people are now trying to exercise and sometimes they exercise wrong or sometimes they engage in, activities the wrong way. So then they're injuring their muscles and joints. So then we get to see those. What am I missing? So we do ICU. So you do find physios in a lot of places, whether you are, in a hospital setting, private setting, in sports, in schools as well, in terms of those CP kids or special schools as well to help with activities. So that's what we do. So when I said you needed physio, in the workplaces, sometimes if you work, if you're doing admin and you've got a chair, but your chair doesn't have a backrest, and you're sitting in a weird position or not in a, straight position. So for example, we want you to be sitting in a 90 position. So 90 is like, this is your back, and that's where your legs are. So this is like a chair position that's 90, and that's what we want. But that's not what you're doing currently.
Okay. No, it's because of my director says I must sit in.
Directors, ne?
Yeah, I must take him in.
So that director must pay for your consultation.
Yeah, no.
So the first consultation the director will pay, and the second one I'll give it for free because you would have come and followed everything I told you. Because I give a home program as well.
Checkup.
It's a checkup.
Okay, no, it's fine. We'll arrange it. No. He doesn't have a problem with paying. Don't worry.
So he'll sort it out. I'm glad. And it's good that it's being recorded.
Yeah, of course. On air.
Yes.
Do you visit a physiotherapist? Have you ever visited one since you started practicing?
Not when I'm practicing, but when I was studying. Oh. Unfortunately, I had an incident when I was doing laundry. So as students, you don't like to do your laundry often. So I piled up my clothes, my dirty clothes. So then where I was staying, I didn't have a washing machine. So I used the bathtub, which was the wrong way of actually doing your laundry. So I bent quite a lot for a long time. And when I actually tried to walk, I started feeling back pain because I was, bending for a while. And then by the time I reached the physio's office, I actually couldn't walk at all. So I struggled to walk for about a day or so because I had strained my back. So I did visit a physio and I followed because now you can see I can walk.
Of
course. I followed the instructions.
100%. No. You look fine now. You look very fine.
Thank you.
Okay. What are the common challenges that you're facing on your day-to-day, work when you come? What are the common challenges that you face?
Number one, the most challenging thing is our people don't understand what physios do. And a lot of patients actually come expecting to be given medication. And we don't give medication, Nico. Our medication is the exercises.
Do you blame them?
It's movement. No, I don't, because it's not taught. Like you said, a lot of people, when we were young, we only knew 3 or 4 careers. You either were a GP or you were a lawyer or an accountant, so that's what they knew. So physio is not really explained. And ever since I opened my practice, I always make it a point that I educate people as to what we do and the importance. That's why when you asked who sees physio, I said everyone, because to me, anybody who's going for an X-ray, that's a physio client because already there's something that is wrong, in terms of their movement. So yes, that's number one, the challenge of people not knowing what we do. Number 2, getting people to exercise. It's hard, man. It's hard. I don't know why.
No, exercising is not nice.
It's not nice. But you feel so much better afterwards.
Yeah, but starting is not easy.
Starting is not easy. But I mean, what is it that you do when you're starting that's easy? Everything that you start, sometimes it's hard. Like you struggle.
Apart from eating.
Eating.
Starting to eat is not difficult.
if you eat very fast, you're actually going to stop because you won't feel right.
I suppose.
Stomach, your stomach is gonna hurt. You
Yeah, if you don't eat right, ne?
If you don't eat right, you're eating fast. You
I suppose. Okay, no, it's fine. Okay, I see.
While you're on that eating point, can I tell you a very interesting thing? Mm-hmm. So remember we're talking about ergonomics, which is the way that you are actually sitting. A lot of people struggle when they go to do number 2, right? And that's because nobody ever taught people how to actually sit in the loo.
Okay. Go deeper.
You want to ask a question?
No, I don't want to. I'm just curious.
So usually when people go to the loo, they just sit like your normal sitting position. And that, what it does is, remember, okay, so in your body, you've got over 600 muscles, right? And that we had to study and learn from Wits. That was like, yeah. And anyway, that's anatomy. And then you've got over 200 bones and over 300, joints. So when you are sitting, one of your muscles, which is your sphincter muscle, your muscles at the back, right? When you're sitting 90 degrees, you actually contract it, which is not good. And that's not what we want, because you want to actually allow stuff to come out. But in that position, it's not ideal. So what we recommend is that you actually put a block underneath, like on your feet. So basically when you sit, you actually lift you can be on your toes, and then that relaxes and you actually get relief much faster.
All right. I should give it a try.
Please do, everyone.
Interesting.
Yeah, it will help. I promise you. Like I told somebody this, and they came back to me and said, "Wow, I wish I knew that." For the longest time, because it made such a big difference.
Okay.
And I think that's why people probably spend like a lot of time in there. And for the life of me, I don't know why people spend like 30 minutes in there.
That's a very long time.
That's a very long time. Like, what are you doing
there?
there?
But I can tell you why. You see, one of the reasons people take too much time in the bathroom is because they go in there with their phones. Switch off the Wi-Fi, you will see.
They'll be in and out.
Yes.
Quick.
Hey,
yeah, we should do that.
Just switch off the Wi-Fi, you'll see.
Yeah. No, we'll do that.
Hey. Okay. So in physiotherapy, do you massage people?
That's what we told. A lot of people think that physios massage people, but there's masseuse massage people. That's an element of it. Like on a serious note, it's an element of what we do. We do massage, but we more look at what is the reason why you came in. For example, if you've got knee pain, right? Where is your knee pain coming from? Is it coming from your joints? Is it coming from your muscle? And then once we've done different tests, and we identify that, actually your joint is fine, your muscle is just tight. Then we'd go in and release that muscle. But it's not a massage, because massaging, you feel good when you're being massaged. No. When we are releasing a tight muscle, it's actually very sore. And you actually get treatment soreness the day after. But then once that's relieved, then you 100%, you're fine. Because then it's going to take care of your knee problem, and then your walking is going to be great. Then, So we're not misuse. It's just an element of it. Yes.
No, I just wanted to understand the difference. Okay. It's deeper than I thought. So when someone is involved in let's say a car accident, and they are admitted, are you also involved in from the onset?
Yes, from the onset. So what happens is the work that physios do in hospital, you can start your therapy passively, meaning that if someone is in a car crash and they're in ICU, they're not responding. They're not gonna, if you say lift your leg, they won't lift it because they're probably in a coma. So you actually go there and you move your joints for them. That's what we call passive movements. So that's very important, because if you sit in one position for too long, you actually get pressure sores. And this is what is unfortunately happening to a lot of people when they get discharged. So I was having a conversation with someone the other day that, patients that get stroke, they get admitted to your normal hospital, and then they get discharged because now we know it's stroke. They've been given medication. Some of them, because they can't walk as yet, they get transferred to rehab centers. That's where they get taught how to do certain things, getting back to function. And now when they get discharged from there, they've been taught what they need to do. They come back home. When they are home, say they were discharged on a wheelchair. When they get home, they were not admitted with the caregivers or with somebody that they're going to be staying with. They get to sit in that wheelchair for too long. Nobody's moving them. Nobody was taught to do passive movements. So then they run the risk of developing pressure sores, and that is what is actually killing our people, once they get discharged, and that is very sad. So when you're in hospital, that's what we do. We do passive movements to prevent those pressure sores, but also for circulation, to get the blood moving. So if you're sitting for a long time and you're not moving, your legs, you will feel that something's not happening. So you probably get a spasm or you feel numb. So somebody who's in a coma can't move for themselves. So we have to go there and help them move. So yeah, we do get involved from the onset. But then once they wake up, we teach them how to walk again. Because if you've been lying in ICU for a month, then your muscles, they're not as strong. You lose your strength in your muscle. Your joints are a bit stiff because they've not been moved. So we assist them in terms of them walking again. Excuse me, just getting back to normal function. And that's what we do. And then once they get home as well, we can do home visits, find out in terms of, your new normal. How do you get around, from the bathroom to the bedroom, different places you're cooking? Are you, mobilizing well? All of those things we do get to do.
You spoke about stroke, which is a common enemy. But there's always someone in our community or around us who has that problem. What is stroke actually? Like maybe let's break it down to our level. What is happening there?
Simple terms. Stroke is when one side of the brain dies, right? Because of a clot that is on that side. So if the right side of the brain has that clot and it dies, then the left side is going to be affected. That's when you see the left side not working. So then you get paralysis of the one side, which means that the leg is not going to be, you won't carry, you won't be able to walk, the arm also won't. So they actually resume the flexion position, which is this position. And that is simple terms, that's what stroke is. So what causes stroke is, your high blood pressure. So I always say to patients that get diagnosed with hypertension, which is your high blood pressure, if they give you medication, please take it. And for it to be easier, if you take your medication at 8 o'clock in the morning, let it be 8 o'clock every day. Simple reason being that if you don't take it at 8, say for example, you take it at 8 today, and tomorrow you take it at 12. And then at about 10 o'clock, something happens. You hear bad news or something upsets you and your blood pressure goes high. You don't have medication in your system between that 8 and 12 because yesterday was at 10, and at 8 and then at 12. So then you can actually get high blood pressure and that can cause stroke. So try and keep it at the same time every single day. So that's your high blood pressure. Also stress causes, stroke. Not exercising causes stroke. The food that we're eating, predisposes us to lifestyle conditions, which is, your stroke, your diabetes as well, which is another big thing. They always say that when people are diabetic, they don't need to see physio. They do because, when you are diabetic, you do need an exercise program, and physios can provide that for you, and then it helps you in your journey of getting back to normal.
What is stroke actually? Like maybe let's break it down to our level. What is happening there?
Simple terms. Stroke is when one side of the brain dies, right? Because of a clot that is on that side. So if the right side of the brain has that clot and it dies, then the left side is going to be affected. That's when you see the left side not working. So then you get paralysis of the one side, which means that the leg is not going to be, you won't carry, you won't be able to walk, the arm also won't. So they actually resume the flexion position, which is this position. And that is simple terms, that's what stroke is. So what causes stroke is, your high blood pressure. So I always say to patients that get diagnosed with hypertension, which is your high blood pressure, if they give you medication, please take it. And for it to be easier, if you take your medication at 8 o'clock in the morning, let it be 8 o'clock every day. Simple reason being that if you don't take it at 8, say for example, you take it at 8 today, and tomorrow you take it at 12. And then at about 10 o'clock, something happens. You hear bad news or something upsets you and your blood pressure goes high. You don't have medication in your system between that 8 and 12 because yesterday was at 10, and at 8 and then at 12. So then you can actually get high blood pressure and that can cause stroke. So try and keep it at the same time every single day. So that's your high blood pressure. Also stress causes, stroke. Not exercising causes stroke. The food that we're eating, predisposes us to lifestyle conditions, which is, your stroke, your diabetes as well, which is another big thing. They always say that when people are diabetic, they don't need to see physio. They do because, when you are diabetic, you do need an exercise program, and physios can provide that for you, and then it helps you in your journey of getting back to normal.
For how long?
For a year.
Okay.
For a year, and then they wanted me to stay because we formed a very good team, like I said, I like MDT, which is your multidisciplinary team, and that's what we do in clinics. And then I decided to go private straight after that. I've always loved business. I've always loved to make a difference. I thought hospital is quite hectic because there you're dealing with people that are still emotional in terms of, accepting what has happened to them. Although ICU I did enjoy as well, but I then went private. I opened my own practice in Twendo.
Guys, tell me, you people in health,
Yes.
how do you cope with, staying calm, even in extreme conditions where a patient comes and they look terrifying, they look really bad, and
Yeah.
you are calm, and
Yeah.
you just,
So
how do you tell, how is that?
yeah, but I mean, if both of you panic, then who's gonna help? So it's a mental thing. I think let me blame it on first year when they took us into that anatomy room with all the cadavers. You walk in there, cadavers are dead people that you're supposed to learn from in terms of you cut the body, you get to learn the different muscles. So when you walk into a room filled with cadavers, if you're there, you can't panic.
Real people.
Yes, real people. So it's people that were once alive and they are now not alive, and you have to cut them open and learn the different muscles. So when I look at you now, I know that we're expecting your deltoid muscle here, we're expecting your hamstring here, and because we went there and we opened and we learned and we
How
saw.
was it the first time you went there?
I was okay. I think I've always been curious.
Okay, they told you, they prepared you maybe, ne?
They just said that we're going into this room. And then when we walked in there, obviously you could see that these are dead bodies, but they were covered. So what helped was they didn't open the faces, so you couldn't see the face. So you saw part by the leg, then the chest, then so it made it a bit better. But then when you have to do the facial muscles, that's when you actually get to see the face, and you're like, okay. And also, you remember when you're studying bones, they actually give you your own little box of bones, and you walk around with that. So I had one in my car the one time. So a traffic officer stopped me in Gauteng and they wanted to check. I think it was a roadblock. So in my boot, I had that box. And then I said, okay, sure. They asked me, what's this? I'm like, no, you can open. So they opened this. They're like, it's bones. I'm like, yeah, I'm a health professional. I'm a physio. I'm studying to become a physio. And they were shocked. They couldn't believe that I was actually walking around with, human
Real
bones. So that's how you actually get to be calm, because once you've been exposed to that, I think, Nico, it doesn't get worse than that. I
know
think,
it doesn't.
So
I know you've seen worse.
yeah, so then you learn to be calm. You learn to be calm. But one thing I've learned recently is that nurses are also very calm, and there's a nurse that once told me that the reason she's not panicking because she was exposed to a situation where a patient was reacting to a medication, and that person could easily have died, but then she was very calm. And, and I asked her, how come you were calm? She says, no, it's because if I also panicked, then we would have lost the patient. So I had to be calm and make sure that everything is okay. Then I will panic later. But yeah.
Did you panic later?
With the cadavers?
No,
with
with
the-
your patients.
I think one patient did affect me. I think it was the first patient that I lost in Bara. I was doing my 4th year. It was during my neuro block. Neuro is where you deal with stroke, and that's the block that you actually lose a lot of patients. So I saw this patient the day before, and the patient was fine. I mean, he looked like he was going to be okay the next day. And then when I went the next day to see the client, the patient was not looking right. And before I could leave, they actually, demised. That affected me because I told my supervisor that I can't continue the whole day. Because for me, you see, when you saw a cadaver, that person is already gone. That's for us to learn. But when you've interacted with someone and then now they're not there and you were meant to help them, for me that, it did affect me. But I learned from that experience that, in my career, I will lose some patients. So I had to come to terms with that.
This is amazing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But over and above, it's important to have people like you or any other person who's a professional. So then we can balance this life.
Yeah.
Because if we all are afraid, then we'll have a problem.
Exactly. Who's going to do CPR?
Someone must just do
Someone
it.
must do it. Someone must do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing it now?
How long has it been? Sure, I don't know.
It's been
It's been a while. But in Palabura, it's been 4 years. So I started coming on Wednesdays, seeing patients here until last year when I actually opened my own practice in Palabura. So it's been a while. In Toyando, it's been a while as well. Yeah, how many years? I can't remember. It's been
But
a while.
you've been.
Yeah, I've been.
Okay.
I've been.
And then how are people responding to your profession in Palabora? Do you get
Oh, I love the people in Palabora.
I
love people in Palabra. I love the atmosphere in this town. You know, the patients are welcoming. They do my exercises, which I love. It makes my job easier, you know, because if you give somebody something to do, they go away, they do it, they give you feedback, and then we move on. And they get better as well, which is another positive thing. Remember, a patient getting better is not a reflection on you in terms of whether you're a good physio or not. It's a reflection on them in terms of the exercises that they are doing at home, the commitment that they have as well. So what I found here is the people of Palabura are very welcoming, number one. I don't speak Xitsonga very well and Sepedi as well. I try, but they accommodate. They accommodate me and they still do my exercise. So they didn't judge me when I got here. They're doing my exercises. So I find they're warm. And that's what made me stay, because otherwise I would have just said, no, let me continue doing Wednesdays only. But they're very receptive.
No,
To a point.
To a point?
To a point where I went on and studied further. So I'm a Pilates instructor. And I practice my Pilates here in Palabora.
What's that?
What is Pilates? Pilates is a form of exercises. So do you know yoga?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like yoga, but I mix my Pilates with physio. So you do stretches and exercises mainly for core. Say, for example, you've got backache, right? And your back is aching for a long time. You're trying this and you're trying that. So when we actually teach you to strengthen your stomach muscles, you get that stronger. That is your core. Then your back automatically becomes better. Your back muscles become better. Right? Okay, let me explain that again. So, you know, with pregnant women, the bellies get bigger because the body's accommodating the baby. But then they always complain of back pain. Yes, because of the carrying of the baby, but also because the muscles have relaxed, the stomach muscles have relaxed. So when your stomach muscles are weak, your back muscles are also going to be weak. So in Pilates, what we do is we strengthen your core, which is where all your movements are actually coming from. When you're walking, you need a very strong core. That's why when children are young, they have to crawl. So that movement of taking the one hand front and back, they're actually strengthening their core so they're able to stand. Standing is going to lead to walking, walking to running. So in Pilates, we do stretches. It's for flexibility. It's for core exercises. And a lot of women are actually welcoming. It's also for toning. You know, if you want to tone your bum, your thighs, it works.
Definitely for women.
No, it's not just for women. I mean, what about these airbags that you guys are carrying
Oh,
everywhere?
do you have main clients who wants to tone their bum?
No, not the bum, but the airbag, the stomach.
Oh, yeah, of course. No, I was referring to the bum issues. No.
Yes. So I do Pilates here, Nico.
All right. No, that sounds interesting. So you also do it with pregnant women?
Yes, it's actually very good for them, because remember, it's also for flexibility, because you get very tight muscles, because some movement, like you can actually hear pregnant women coming because they're not lifting their legs. I'm sorry, everyone who's pregnant at the moment, but you can. So they don't lift their legs. Yes. So when they do Pilates or flexibility exercises, they actually get the joints to loosen up and they actually lift and they walk nicely. Okay. So yeah, we do it.
Mummies, you need to come and see this woman. She says she's going to help you a lot. Please come running. She's here. She'll tell us how to get to her before the end of this episode.
Yes.
They must come and get assistance.
Yes.
It's very important.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she says. And
It
if
is.
you want to tone your whatever, you can come. Also, they can assist you to tone anything that needs to be toned.
Yes, pretty much. Anything that needs to be told.
Yeah, if you want to tone, you've got the toning to do. Come running.
And you know, it's actually literally everything that needs to be told. Everything. Like, yes.
Everything. If you want to tone anything,
So
everything.
pelvic floor muscles, we do that. You know, once women have just given birth and they want to get back to normal, we do exercises as well. So ladies, once you've just given birth and you've pushed, come, I can assist you to tone.
And you get your push present, yeah.
Push.
Yeah, you assist women. So it's
Yes.
important. Okay. No, but that's great. Just maybe before I forget, no? I'm just worried I might forget. How do
Okay.
people get hold of you? Let's talk people in Palabora. Let's start with Palabora.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about these other places.
All right.
How can they get hold of you?
Okay. So in
Yeah, now
Palabora,
you're talking to them directly.
Yes.
Yes.
In Palabora, I'm found at the Body and Mind. Body and Mind is at next to the gym, the Extreme Gym. It's by Meridian. But if you want to call us, we are found 065-897-1673, 065-897-1673. We do have TikTok and Instagram account as well for Body and Mind and Palabora.
Okay. Location.
But when they're calling, it's for location and treatment, right?
Yeah. This is what we are talking about. For toning and all this that has to do with physiotherapy. What is
Yes.
this?
This is
It looks like a bone.
yeah. So this is your knee.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, that's great that you actually said that, because let me explain to you. A lot of people, especially our grannies, they complain about knee pain, right? So usually it's due to arthritis. So you ask me, what is arthritis, right? So this is your thigh bone, and this is the bones at the bottom, right? And this is where your knee is. So if you see the knee movement, this is your knee movement. You can see that, right? So when they say that there is arthritis, they mean that the cartilage that is in between here that separates the two bones is actually finished. So when you do movements like that, then the bone is rubbing on each other. Hence you hear the sound. And in the morning when they wake up, they actually struggle to get going because then it's a bit stiff. So that is what arthritis is. So I actually use this to explain the whole arthritis thing. And also I use it for athletes as well when they come in with runner's knee. I explain to them, this is what's happening on your knee.
Okay. Why does it finish?
Age, wear and tear. Why do brake pads finish?
Oh, I know. That's the best answer.
Yes.
Okay. Is there certain food that you can eat to maybe deal with, maybe just to try and help the wear and tear to be slightly slower?
Yes. The reason why I hesitated there is because, remember, we are born to die. Unfortunately. We are born, we're going to grow, reach plateau, and then the body will decay. So the same thing is happening to your bones. So like, or to your structures, not just your bones, sorry. So the wear and tear is because all the time you are bending your knee, you are straightening it, you are bending. So because of overuse, that is going to happen. But also people that play sports, contact sports. If you get hit here or you break one of the bones, you actually accelerate the, your wear and tear, basically. So they say that everyone's going to get arthritis at some point because it's wear and tear. It's when you're getting older. So in terms of food, I think the dietitian is the best person to ask with that. But we always say that there are two things that you must do. You must exercise and you must eat healthy. What exercises, come to the physio, will tell you. What food, go to dietitian, they'll tell you.
No, that's a good one. Fair enough. Oh, okay. There's a lubrication here, so it ends. So I thought maybe there's something we can eat that can help lubricate. You always hear stories in the
Mandande.
Yeah, if you eat mandanda, if you eat anything that looks sticky, they'll say it will help your knees.
Yeah, let's get the dietitian to comment. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I just wanted to hear from you, but you're right. A dietitian will help us.
Yes.
I'm hoping soon we'll sit with one and we can talk about such things.
Mm-hmm.
But over and above, I'm so excited. This was very informative. It was not just one of those.
Yeah.
It's necessary. So you actually say, okay, how often can one, under normal circumstances, how often can one visit a physiotherapist?
I think if you don't have any pain, then you can come for a checkup. Like because sometimes the body gets used to the abuse that you're giving it, that it doesn't report as pain. So I was telling, actually, a very interesting story. I was telling one of my, one of my patients. They came in. They're like, I didn't do anything, hectic, but my shoulder is sore. I'm like, okay, how old are you? They said the age. They're above 50. Okay, when did you start working as an educator? They said, when in my 20s. I'm like, okay. So it means that for 30 years, you've been marking. You've been lifting your hand and writing on the chalkboard. This is the movement that you've repetitively done every single day for 30, for 30 years you've been doing that.
Of course.
The first week when you started doing it, your body reported, no, this is not right. I'm in pain. But then you thought, I'm excited. It's a new job and you were still young, so you got used to it. So the body also sort of said, you know what, okay, it's all right. I'll adjust. And that's what the body does with most things as well. They adjust. Now, because you're getting older, and remember wear and tear is kicking in, then the body from nowhere starts saying, no man, this shoulder joint now has problems because of repetitive movement. So to answer your question, how often, you can come for a checkup, we check, we do different tests, we might actually pick up something that you can prevent further injury. And when you get older, then you are much equipped in terms of what exercises to do, what routine, what can you change. A lot of people that sit for a long time, I always say to my admin people, please stand every 2 hours, just do a mini stretch and then sit. Take those breaks. It's important.
That means
when
even
you're
driving, no?
I was about to get to that. Oh, great minds. So when you're driving from here to Gauteng, don't drive straight, throughout. Stop. I know when you're young, it's easy. I mean, I also love driving. When you're young, it's easy to just say, I know, I want to get there at like 3 o'clock, let me rush. But you're not doing your body justice because you're sitting in one position for too long. And it's always better to stand, do a bit of stretch here and there. And your body would reward you later on when you get older. So you won't complain a lot about joint pain because your body will be fluid enough or it will be flexible, So, yeah, I would say just do one check, and then from that one check, we can then determine how often you need to come.
All right.
But if you already have back pain, then definitely. Please come, or joint pain. Don't ignore. And that's another thing as well. Like a lot of my patients, they ignore the pain up until they actually can't anymore. Like your knees. If you hear something on your knee, in the morning when you wake up, you're struggling, that's already an indication. Please come consult, because then we're trying to avoid you getting a total knee replacement. We are saying, let's help you now so that you don't get an operation.
A knee replacement?
Yes,
one.
Yeah, knee replacement, hip replacement. They do all of that. They're orthopedics.
So a knee replacement, where are you going to get the knee?
The orthopedic surgeons will tell you that. But what they do is they just scrape. So remember our analogy, if this bone was rubbing on there. So normally the body is going to say, because we're used to something being here, this bone is going to start growing osteophytes, which is like little bones, to try and do a gap between the two bones. But then the unfortunate part is that it's still bone on bone. So it's going to cause inflammation. That's when people get, swollen and then they go get drained, all of that. So now what the orthopedic surgeons do is they were going to open up, scrape that, remove whatever has been damaged, and then replace it with something else. That's what they call total knee replacement. But then, have one on your show to actually explain, because a lot of our people are actually going for either hip or knee replacements. So, yeah.
Kuning. It's a lot. Thank you so much. This is a beautiful episode. I enjoyed it like I do with most of my guests. But I think I'm going to invite you again and we'll talk some more. I just don't want to prolong it because
Yeah.
People will get tired of watching it, and I want people to finish it because everything that you said is very important.
Yeah.
But most of all, we want to appreciate you for engaging with us. Nakuba mpfumerile loko hi mi rhamba. This is very important. We don't take it for granted. We believe that your branch up Palabra will grow. And after this
Thank you.
episode, a lot of people will come running to you to try and get assistance. This is next to just front opposite Meridian College, next to the gym there. Yeah, when you physically have body and mind.
Yes. Body
It's-
and mind.
Yeah, when you get here, I'm sure after meeting here, there are other things that you might want to do there, but you'll find out when you get there. I don't want to talk about them now. But over and above, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really want to do this with you again. I will tell we will sort it out off air.
Thank you, Nico.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ndoribuwa Karadzi.
Thank you. Ndoribuwa Rambiwa.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This was filmed by Photo Flurry. These guys are amazing. They're doing a great job. If you're having a wedding or a party or whatever it is that you need to capture and film it or take pictures, whatever, doesn't matter. Please contact them. Here are contact details. There are contact details on the screen. Call them. They'll do justice to your event. Thank you for watching. Let's meet again on our next episode.